Hi everyone, my name's Daniel Welch. I am just about finished with my credential program here. This is the very last bit. And welcome to my webpage, which details everything, all the work that I've done, and what I'm doing to prepare to be the best teacher that I can be. This is my website, and you can see it's about me, gives my resume, different assessments, the evidence that I have, and so on. We'll be kind of taking a step-by-step approach for how this is all going to be. As we're kind of walking through, I can get started with the home page here. So you can see the About Me here. Went to Fordham University, moved to San Jose, where I got connected with California, and been teaching there for a little bit, and then I actually recently moved to El Salvador, and I'm teaching there, moved to abroad. See the site map here details kind of what some of it looks like. Some sites of interest. These are our standards that we use, and my school right here that I'm currently teaching at. Take a look at my resume. You can see went to Fordham, but then went and got my master's at Santa Clara University in teaching, specializing in social sciences. And then the two main kind of jobs I've had as a teacher was at Most Holy Trinity, which is a private school in San Jose. Taught there for a few years, teaching middle school, mostly social studies, but also language arts and religion. Loved coaching basketball there as well. But then moved to El Salvador and started teaching in the middle school, but then moved into the high school just this year, teaching various social studies classes there. Here are all my assessments, which I'll get into in a minute. But I want to start with the CSTP right here. So there's 6 different pieces of standards, I should say. And so what I did is all through the last, all this program through the last year or so, I've been going through each standard, trying to increase how I've been doing, and jotting down any piece of evidence that I have for how I'm doing. So just kind of a glimpse as to what it looks like. This is some of the standards, so the main one being all about how to engage students. So as you can see, I thought I started off with applying where I could get to know. I did a get to know you survey at the beginning of every year, just to get a glimpse of what the students kind of look like, what their interests are, what their strengths are, their weaknesses, where they want to improve, so on. But as we start to get into it a little bit more, start to do more surveys, get to know the students more. And there's this one program in our school that we do called Community Time. And in this, we have it's kind of like a homeroom where we have a designated block of students that we meet with 4 times a week. And so we do different activities, different lessons, and really get to know the students holistically. What are they interested in? What's their family like? What's their life growing up? What do they want to contribute to the school? So give the students that relationship with the teacher that allows them to kind of develop that trust and develop what they need to really get the most out of their learning in school. Go on to, if you look at the second one, creating and maintaining effective environments. So similar things where I've tried to increase. So with our social and emotional programming here in school, been trying to kind of reach out to students as best we can and really develop them holistically. And if you go to my page, you can see all these other ones, all these other pieces of evidence that we've been doing for that. Getting into pop cycle, that's the next part I want to get into. So if we look at different assessments, we have our pop cycle assessment. So I've gone through, and this was a time where my mentor and I were working together, developed a lesson. She came in and observed me. And this is kind of the documentation of it all. So the lesson itself, you can see I did a lesson on absolutism units. That, to be honest, I don't find as interesting as other ones, but it's helpful for the students. And we really did writing work with this. So that was kind of the main help that we did. And so I kind of got everything down where we had to define absolutism, what's the examples, then ultimately getting into DB cube writing, which they'll need for their high school careers. So this is kind of, you can see this, but it's kind of the breakdown of everything, some of the focuses that I had, and some of the work that I did, and then one of the helpful things is really getting this feedback from my mentor, who's been very helpful in that sense. I can teach the lesson and I can reflect back on it from what I see, but it's extremely helpful to have someone, a new pair of eyes, come in and maybe pick out things that I didn't notice before, or give ideas. So she talked about how I constantly kept the same students together talking with each other, and it can be helpful to get students to group with new students. So if I ask a new question, they've got another perspective on the matter, and they're not just kind of constantly going back and forth with the same student. So I thought I've been trying to utilize that in my other classes. I thought that was pretty helpful. Moving on to the teacher inquiry and visual learning plan. I'm going to focus on my technology piece. So in semester 4 we did teacher leadership, but I'm going to go back to this one, semester 3, technology emphasis. So here again, looking at the standards that we're trying to meet, and this incorporates into what I did with the leadership project, but getting students to reflect and use the data to help them better assess what they're doing and how can they move forward with that. And this can hit a bunch of different people. All right, all the students are in different levels, so we're trying to get them to identify where are they so that they can then move on and grow from where they're at, not just kind of a one-size-fits-all approach. And so giving them these tools, these technology tools such as Canva, Google Drive, different devices, they can kind of work at their own pace, and I can guide them through as they're going. So if they need to slow down, if they can speed up, if I can push them, if I need to cycle back to something, we can do that. Talking to colleagues, they saw how kind of this goal-setting idea and getting students to see where they're at and move forward from there has been very helpful. And just moving through, getting some feedback and everything that I've needed to do. And then ultimately, you can see how right before, how they would score, and then given this kind of student-paced technology tools, they've been able to improve. And every target student that I had that I thought really needed that special attention had some kind of improvement with it. So I was very, very happy to see that. Next, moving into technology competency. Specifically going to showcase my playlist here that you'll see. So playlist is something that we've used all throughout our time here. And you can see this one is all about the French Revolution. So this is something I use in class where the students could click on the different spots, and it introduces that element of choice, which I think is important. The students can choose what they want to do, but still getting to the goal that I want them to get at. And I thought this was a helpful tool in that sense. Leadership, teacher leadership. So this is kind of the last thing that we really worked on in our program here. And I'm actually going to get to the goals that I worked on here. So my goal, and this is kind of a department goal that we had, I thought I could adopt as my own and really start to develop, is authentic standards-based assessments and rubrics. So this kind of understanding by design, have the assessment, have the rubric ready to go, something that students can actually use in their real life, but apply it to the classroom. And so really been working with that and finding ways to incorporate that into my curriculum and really make that the centerpiece of my teaching. And it's been a process, but have seen quite a bit of growth with that. And the last thing that I want to showcase is my teacher leader project. So this is something that I've been working with, and it's right here. Something I think is extremely important is getting students to reflect on their learning. Right? They can go through the whole process of a lesson and a unit but then just flush it out of their minds at the end. But if they reflect on it, and again, this is a process that takes a lot of time to develop and a lot of intention to develop, they can start to draw out the lessons from within the unit that they can apply to their own life and actually utilize and gain something from. But it's kind of up to them, me as their guide, but it's up to them to really do that process. Because only they can know what will be helpful for them personally. So this is just a presentation that I created and want to share. I'm trying to get other teachers to start to think about this process and to see how can they use these ideas within their own classroom. And do they find it helpful? It's very helpful to me to see their feedback and to see what they find useful as well, and how I can apply that to my classroom. So that is my webpage. I invite you to explore it on your own, and thank you so much for listening. Take care.